Hey y'all, in today's video, I am sharing with you how to even get started homeschooling your only child. So stick around. So I'm actually doing this video in collaboration with Jen over at Homeschool with Jen, and she's got some other mamas who are joining us. We're all kind of at different seasons in our homeschooling journey with only one child. So make sure you check out the link down in the description so that you can see all of those videos. We wanted to make sure we had a little bit of something for everyone. For me, I am going to be kind of giving you just some helpful tips and kind of some thoughts for those of you who maybe are just starting your homeschool journey, or maybe you have children who are a little bit younger. I have an only child, obviously, and she just turned 7. We have been homeschooling roughly 3.5 years now. And so I'm just gonna help you get started. What do I even do? What does that look like? How do I even homeschool with an only child? It seems that most homeschooling families are families of multiples, but I am here to tell you, as I have been on social media a little bit longer, especially doing YouTube and meeting new families over in the Made to Homeschool community, there's actually more only children homeschooling families than you would think. We're just not as prevalent. There's just not as many, but it's very, very easy to feel like you're really the only one, or maybe one of a few. But there's more out there than you think. So I am just, again, gonna kind of give you some thoughts and some tips to kind of help encourage you as you get started on your journey. Okay, first thing I want to touch on is your homeschool, it's gonna be different, right? We know that. But so is everybody else's, right? We all have similarities and differences in our homeschool. Just happens to be, one of the things just happens to be, we only have one child versus multiple children, right? And so sure, there are going to be some things that you're not going to need, like 3 different language arts programs or 4 different math programs. You will only need one. Will you maybe need to go through 3 of them to find one that works? Yeah, sure. So, as you follow these different families, it actually is kind of helpful to watch families that have multiples, especially if they're using different things for different children, especially different ages, because depending on where your child is at, you can get some of that wisdom. You can learn from them and say, my child would do better with this type of curriculum versus this type of curriculum. So don't allow the overwhelm of not finding someone that has an only child deter you from using some of the wisdom and the information provided from other moms who happen to be homeschooling multiple children. Everyone's homeschool is going to look different, and our homeschool is no different. Another thing I want you to do is decide on what the atmosphere of your home should be. What does that look like for you? What do you want the tone of your home to be? Do you want it to be calm and quiet and settled and very easygoing, relaxed? Do you want it to be loud and full and rambunctious and just toys and adventure and things everywhere? What do you want that to look like? And then once you've decided on that, how can you create that? If that's the atmosphere that you want in your home, what can you do to help facilitate that and to create that? Does that mean that you have candles in the morning and you get up and make breakfast early, or maybe you have your child help you with breakfast and you just play some quiet kind of classical music in the morning? You get a slow start and then you move slowly into reading. What does that look like for you? Maybe you're the type of family that wants to be home as little as possible. You want to be out and you want to go to the parks and the museums and you want to do the adventures and all of the fun things. Whatever that looks like for you, you want to come up with a few ways to make that happen. Now, I do want to caution you, every day is going to look different, okay? No matter what your best laid plans are, it's not going to look the same every day. Okay, so one day may be full of amazing adventure, and you go and you do the best field trip you have ever been on, and it's so wonderful and it's so fantastic. But you're going to be too busy to go on another adventure tomorrow. So it's going to be a little bit of a more calm day, and it's going to be relaxed, and it's going to be we're just going to kind of go through the motions here. Okay, so you got to be realistic with those things too. Not every day is going to look the same, so you need to keep that in mind when you're thinking about the kind of atmosphere that you want to create in your home through homeschooling. Another really big one, okay? Y'all don't miss this. You need to know your state laws and requirements. Every state is going to look a little bit different. I am not here to tell you what you can and can't do and all of that stuff. So if you are not familiar with your state laws and requirements, I urge you to do that, and do that as soon as possible. I will leave a link in the description for the HSLDA. It's a really great place to go to get all of that type of information. I'm quite sure you have some county and state websites as well that would give you good information. But HSLDA is a good one, just kind of across the board. We are members with HSLDA, which I also would encourage you to do. You guys can look into that more. That is 100% more of a personal decision, but I will leave the link for you in case you are interested. Nonetheless, you need to know what your state requirements are. And then once you get that all figured out, you need to think about your schedule, right? What do you want your schedule to look like? Do you prefer to follow a public school schedule because your child maybe has more friends that will be available to play with and hang out with during the summer, so you want to be available for that? There are a lot of families that choose to school year round, right? So it's included kind of in their daily life and their daily rhythm. They have school as just part of everything. And so they really kind of school year round. Or are you a family like we are, and you have an alternative schedule? I don't really like calling it an alternative schedule because, quite honestly, I feel like they're all alternative schedules, right? It's based on what your family needs. But for the sake of keeping things simple and easy, we have what I would consider an alternative schedule, which is just something that's just different than what your standard public school schedule would be, which ours is mid to end of January to the mid to end of October. That's what works for us. So you need to decide that as well. Be mindful, you're going to need a break. Okay, so even if you're schooling year round, if you think that is wonderful and that's what you want to go for, then you should do that. But you also need to plan for and keep in mind that you are going to need a break and your kids are going to need a break. So whatever that looks like, I don't know. There are people that will school for 3 weeks, take a week off. School for 3 weeks, take a week off. There are people who will only school 4 days a week and every Friday is something really cool. There are people who, 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, they go on a really big, long family, like camping RV vacation. Whatever that looks like for your family, be realistic, know that you're going to need a break, and just choose a schedule that you know is going to work for your family. You do not have to stay committed to that. That schedule can always change, but it's always good to have that idea up front. That way, kind of this is when we're going to start and this is when we are going to end, or these are when we're going to have our breaks so that I know when I can reset. Okay, and the last point I want to make here is just know there are going to be challenges. There are going to be things that you are going to have to overcome, as with any and all things in life. And homeschooling an only child is going to be no different. Are the challenges different than those with multiple children? In a sense, yes. Sometimes we do have different challenges, but they are challenges nonetheless. One is not better or worse than the other. So you just need to go, into it knowing that there are going to be days that you're going to just have to rely on the Lord and say, you called me to it. I don't know what I'm doing. Just get me through the day. Let me know what my next steps are. And you're going to just have to lean into Him and you're gonna have to adjust and adapt, and know that if he has called you, he will equip you, okay? Slowly and surely, he will equip you. There is, I have said before, I don't think there is a more sanctifying process besides marriage than homeschooling children. Now, there are some challenges that are seemingly more common than others. And actually, I'm going to be doing a workshop over in the Made to Homeschool community on Monday, July 31st. Monday, July 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to be walking through those challenges and giving tips on how I have overcome some of those, and just my tips on how I'm working through those, because realistically, some things you get past and then you just kind of add something else in. And so I will be having an entire workshop over there in Made to Homeschool. The nice thing with that is if you are a member, join the workshop. I'll go through all of the things, and then there's the live Q&A at the end. So if you have specific questions, come with those kind of in mind. That way you can ask them then, and then hopefully I will be able to kind of give you some specific help, direction, guidance, maybe even just a little bit of encouragement. And if you are not a member of Made to Homeschool, you totally should, because it's like the best community ever. But I will leave the link in the description for you as well, in case you are interested in checking that out and joining me again Monday, July 31st from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that is it for today's video. Oh, and don't forget to check out the playlist link in the description from the other only child homeschooling mamas that joined the collab with Jen. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.